Okay, so for this portion of the application, I'll be showing you how to enter your coursework if you are a student who is in high school. So the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and click on the academic history. You're going to select high schools attended. And then I do want to point out, if you're a high school student who has an account with californiacolleges.edu, you can click on this Show Me How, and it will actually allow you to import all of your high school coursework over to Cal State Apply. So it can actually save you a lot of time. If you have an account with California Colleges, you can click on this Connect button. And if you click, if you continue, it'll take you to the website. If you click on Continue, it'll take you to californiacolleges.edu, and you'll be able to log into your account and import all of your data. That it'll basically take over, import over everything that you've taken in high school and import it over to Cal State Apply. So that's only if you have an account with them. If you don't, that's completely fine. I'll still be showing you how to manually enter all of your coursework. So I just wanted to point that out. If you do use californiacolleges.edu, you do want to still make sure that everything is imported over accurately, because once you submit your application, you are not able to go back and make any changes once you actually submit. So just be aware of that. But we'll go ahead and show you how to manually enter your classes if you do not have a California Colleges account. So the first thing you'll do is add your high school. And you'll want to go ahead and either put in the city or the zip code. And then you'll be able to search for your school, and then you'll be able to select it. And you'll need to put in your start date and your end date. If you attended more than one school, then you'll need to add, you know, the different high schools you attended, but just make sure your start and end dates for each school are accurate. Okay, and then you will need to select your term type. So you can have a quarter, semester, trimester, full year. High schools have different term types. For this example, I'm just going to select semester. If your school does have more than one term type, then you'll need to add your school multiple times for each term type. So an example, this student has a semester and a trimester system at their school. So they added their school twice, and they have each term type listed there. Okay, and so you'll just want to make sure that when you enter your grades, you're putting them in under the correct high school term, the correct high school term type for your school. So for this example, like I said, we're just going to use one term type, which will be semester, and then we're going to save the school. And at this point, we will need to answer a few questions about graduation. So it says select your anticipated or current graduation status from high school or equivalent. So there's a few options. We'll just select this one that says I have or will graduate with my high school diploma. And then you'll need to select your high school and the date that you plan to receive your diploma. Then you'll save and continue. And then continue to the next section. Okay, so at this point, you're going to start putting in your classes that you've taken from 9th grade through 12th grade. So it's probably helpful to have your transcripts handy so you can start putting in your classes for each grade. I do want to highlight, as it says up here, to only put in A through G classes. So you don't want to include, for instance, you know, physical education. If you took like a PE class, that doesn't count as an A through G class. So you only want to put in classes that are A through G classes. So for example, we'll start with 9th grade. You want to check and make sure that your school is listed correctly and that your year is listed correctly. And then you'll have to click on that check to be able to move to the next step. So for example, I'm going to put in an English class. And notice how the class is populating. Your class should be showing up here, and then you'll just need to click on it. You should not be manually entering the courses. So your class should populate, and then once you find it, you click on it. And then the course type, if it's a college prep class, the course type would be none. If it's an AP class, you would need to list advanced placement. If it's an IB or honors, so you want to list your course type correctly. But for a college prep class, the course type is none. And then you have both the fall and the spring, so you'll want to go ahead and put in the grades that you got for each term. Now, I do want to highlight there's some different grade options here. Please keep in mind for your senior year, you'll need to list in progress for the classes that you're currently taking, and then you'll need to list planned for the spring semester. So if you are in a class right now during your senior year, you would list in progress, and then if you're taking that same class in the spring of your senior year, you would put planned. Also, if you're in a class that's only a semester long, let's say you're taking a class that's only offered in the spring. So for the fall, you would put no grade. And then for the spring, you would either list the grade if you had it, or you would put planned if it was during your senior year and you haven't taken it yet. So there's a few different options for grades. So just make sure you're putting in the correct, the correct grade for the class. So once you're done, you just go ahead and click on this check mark, and you'll move to the next class. And like I said, you're just going to go through and put each class in for every grade. I do want to bring up one other area, which is course validation. So basically what course validation is basically it's for a student who did not pass the first semester of their class. So maybe they got a grade of D, or maybe they got a grade of F for their first semester, but then their second semester, they got a grade of C or higher. That would basically fall under course validation, but it's only for certain subjects. So it's actually only for math, for chemistry, and for language other than English. So I'll give an example. So let's say a student took a chemistry class, and let's say the first semester they got a D, but the second semester they got a C, or maybe they got a B or they got an A. Anything that's C or higher would validate for the full year. So even though they got a D, because they picked up the grade by the second semester and they got a C or higher, this would fall under course validation, basically meaning that the student would still get a full year credit for chemistry. However, that D would still go into the student's GPA. So if you have a situation like this, you would need to enter the grades that you got, so the D and then the C, but to make sure that you get that full year credit, you would need to enter the course again. So chemistry, you would have to put it in again right under the original entry, and then you would put in a grade of pass for the first semester, and then you would put in a grade of, you would put no grade for the second semester. So you'd put pass and then no grade, and then you would hit that check. And so that will ensure that although you didn't pass that first semester, because you passed the second semester, the C will validate and you'll still get a full year credit for chemistry. However, that D will still go into the GPA. So again, this is specifically course validation, and this is only applicable for math classes, chemistry classes, or language other than English. So I recommend, if you have any questions about validation, that you go to the help guide. It kind of covers everything in more detail than what I'm going into right now. But if you go to the help guide, you would just go up to your name, you would go to the help center, and you would click on freshman coursework entry. And as you can see, it goes into greater detail about validation on page 7. So I would recommend checking that out and getting a clearer view of what course validation would look like. Okay, so we're going to go back to the app. Okay, so now that we're back in the application, we covered how to put your courses in. Now we're going to go to the next section, which is colleges attended. So I want to highlight that this section's only going to show up for a high school student if they actually took college classes in high school, and you would have had to indicate that in the extended profile section. So if you're a student who took college classes in high school, the application will ask you to fill out the colleges attended section. So you would need to go ahead and add your college, and then you would need to go to the transcript entry portion and enter the college classes that you took. You would then need to A through G match those courses in the A through G matching section. So I won't go into too much detail here because I cover how to enter college classes in the in the transfer coursework entry portion of the video. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next section. So once you've entered all of your classes, you will go ahead and just make sure that all of your classes are in the correct A through G area. You'll want to make sure that you have the appropriate number of years under each subject. So for instance, you need 2 years of history, 4 years of English, 3 years of math. So you'll want to go through each subject and make sure you have the minimum number of years. If you do notice something is not correct, let's say that the application is saying that you only had 3 years of English, but you actually had 4 years of English, you can go down to update A through G courses, and you will be able to manually update the A through G area if something is not populating correctly. So as you can see, I'm clicking in this box and I have the ability to delete, and I can update the A through G area if something does not accurately show up. So once you're done with that, you can save and continue. And the next section would be the standardized tests. So this is where you're going to enter SAT exam scores, ACT exam scores. There's quite a few tests listed here. So if you have any of these tests, you're able to add those test scores. For Cal State Fullerton for fall 2021, we're actually test blind. So we will not be looking at SAT or ACT scores for admissions purposes. However, it may play a role in determining whether or not you are college ready in English and math, but it's not going to play a role in admissions. So if you took the SAT, if you take the SAT or the ACT or the SAT, we will not be looking at it for admissions purposes for fall 2021 at Cal State Fullerton. So, but if you do want to add your test scores, for instance, ACT, you would just need to select whether or not you took the test and then when you took it. And then you'll want to include your ACT student ID so that we can match the scores to your profile. And then the same thing for the SAT. If you took the SAT, you can go ahead and add your test scores. You would put in, the date, and then you would also need to put in your College Board ID so we can match your test scores to your profile. So after you get past this section, you're able to put in your AP exam scores. So if you took any AP exams, you would select yes. If not, you would select no. And then you would just list the type of AP exam that you took. So you can see there's quite a few different AP exams. You would just need to go ahead and click on it and then select the score, put in the date that you took it and then the score that you received. And the same thing for CLEP, you would just select yes or no, whether or not you took it or not. And then if you select yes, you need to go ahead and put your scores in. And same thing for the IB as well. If you have the scores, you would select yes, and then you would put your scores in. If not, you would select no. So this actually concludes the academic history portion for a high school student.